What a weird place this is. This reality. There's a lot of beauty in it. In the nature of it. The nature. Even if all the animals are technically always at war. And yet humans would like to pretend that that is not the case. Well, we do have the ability to consciously choose not to be at war with one another. There's always a base element that will ensure that it stays that way. I think before I talked about misconceptions of masculine and feminine, misconceptions of what we think are, or what we think represent good and evil. If not, I'll go over it again. I really don't even want to go through and watch the whole thing. I don't. I feel like a visitor here, you know? Like I know I've been in other realities, some much more traumatizing than this, which is why coming here made me so, or not made me so, but coming here in the beginning, even to now, but definitely in the beginning, even as a baby, I was watching, trying to understand what this place is, watching out for threats, and then it turns out that my family was the threat. The people that I met, they were the threat. But in this world, in this reality, you don't take out threats to the body. That will make you a bad person. And there are bad people who do go about things that way, who do harm to others intentionally, who do harm to others without justification, outside of gaining for the fictitious system, monetarily, money and materialism. And it's a very interesting thing. It's a very interesting dynamic that I came to a place like this where its people had already lost and are not in a constant struggle against this slavery system. Already lost. Maybe something is changing. Maybe something can change. Maybe there is something otherworldly or supernatural, or maybe even spiritual in nature, or something that's being assisted by nature itself that will come about. But I'm not sure. I'm not a believer. I'll know it when it happens. And I suppose I'll keep my stance. I wouldn't want to say my square because I don't fall for the Freemason shit. Not on the chessboard. That's bullshit. Be on the square. What does that mean? What does that even imply? There's a player moving pieces. And is there a player over here moving pieces? I suppose that's the nature of Ein Sof. Nature of what is it? Macrocosmic down to microcosmic, or how do you say it? I would say like how they describe it in the Pistis Sophia, where they say where he goes in deeper, and there's an inward or defined in direction, deeper dimensionally, as well as an infinite upward or outward, expansive, infinitely. Both are relatively small or large, depending on your position. Which, I mean, will depend on your position, regardless of your position. I think I want to go more on the misconceptions of, or the misconceptions that Christians and most people have due to the paradigm being dominated by Christianity. The misconceptions of the masculine and the feminine, and how the feminine was ejected from modern Christianity, and how also magic has been deemed incorrect or evil by them who don't know that magic is in all things, with the materialistic, which I believe is actually a false term for them. They believe that all magic is science that you just don't recognize or know. And by now, hopefully, if you've gone through the etymological roots of those words, of at least science, meaning knowing. And I'm going to use Aleister Crowley's definition of what magic is: influencing change in accordance with the will. But I'm going to refine it even more. Magic is will itself, because we don't necessarily know the origin of it. But through will, things are changed. Through will, things are experienced. Will and intention. The desire for flavor to have an effect, even cooking is magic. It can be boiled down into a science, but even that will to know, again, is magic. Where does the will to know come from? The Holy Trinity in Christianity has been altered to the Son, the Father, and the Holy Spirit, or the Holy Ghost. There's a Son and there's a Father, but there's no Mother. Why is that? Why is that? Why is it like that? Do you know the origin of that? Science, by the way, which to me is just an understanding of an aspect of reality, or even a recognition of something, a recognition of certain forces. Because originally, well, not even originally, well, originally it would have been, well, better yet, let me leave that alone, because I can't necessarily say the origin or where it was initially recognized, even though we can see how it is in nature, likeness to God in nature. But that Trinity was pater, mater, and superiora. Okay, pater is where we get father from. Mater is where we get mother from. Superiora is what they create. The combination, and it's not just about your genitalia, it's about forces in the universe. Before I even get to pater, Christians, this is why you call your God the Father, but you don't recognize the hermaphroditic principle, which originates from the mother. Mother first, space first. Matter. What is matter, right? Well, before we even get into that, let's go over the symbols that align with this truth, because it's still here, it's still with us. Everyone knows what phi is. If you know what that shape is, the toroid is the circle, or the O, ovum, the O, with the eye, down the center. Another way this is represented is through the circle and the cross. Circle, in this case, being heaven, and the cross being earth. These things are actually interchangeable, because just as it is with Ein Sof, if you were to be in existence at the center, or at a closer ring, at the smaller ring, if you move to an outer ring, you would recognize that ring that you came from as an inner ring. And if you move out from that ring that you are at currently to another even larger ring, you would look at those previous two rings as inner, meaning that which was physical becomes spiritual, or that which is spiritual becomes physical in your perception. The circle and cross, or the O and the T, the time and the space, has many variations or many symbols that represent the same concept. And some consider it to be electromagnetism, which is also true. But I take it further. Well, maybe not further. Time and space. The cross is the symbol of the earth. How do we know that? How do we know that the cross is earth, air, fire, water? And then the spirit on the cross, or Jesus, or the pinnacle of the pentagram, is spirit, or love, which is phi, which is why you Christians say that God is love. But God, for you who choose to be ignorant, God is only love when you recognize the pattern. You must be in awe of the pattern. You must constantly be studying the pattern and finding new ways to express that pattern. Pater means father. Mater means mother. Paternal, pattern, maternal, material. Time is the recognition of moments passing through space, within space. The pattern is this: two halves and a path. This is why Jesus is the truth, the light, and the way, or superior, the way, the path. And doesn't mean cling to Jesus. Oh, we're right, it's Jesus. It's not yours. It doesn't belong to Christianity. It has been known for centuries, and you're missing the mark. Anyone who has a religion and you believe that yours is the origin, you're missing the mark. You're missing the point. Absolutely. I think last time I talked about what it's like to, or the idea of having multiple bodies, which is luckily in the Hindu system. You have many energy bodies. You have many bodies that you can transfer your consciousness to. This could be considered possession. You possess these things with your consciousness. And consciousness, I'm going to tell you a little secret. This thing right here that you're operating from at this very moment is flawed. And I know it from experience because I remember and I know what it's like to be in a dream and to know that I'm dreaming and to be all powerful and to be all knowing. I know everything that there is to know in that dream or in those dreams, in that state. I can be lucid and control the elements, the fire, the wind, the water, the earth, the people, the environment, myself, my body. I can change my form. But oftentimes, that is when the higher self is dominant. But there is still consciousness there. This version of consciousness is there. But the moment you start to think the moment you start to think and perceive from this self, you lose your magic. You lose that power to a degree. You can consciously choose to put it on the back burner, which is the right thing to do, to be aware, to record, but to put that shit on the back burner because it gets in the way. This gets in the way. This life is designed, this whole system is designed to take magic away from you. It's designed to make you, well, not necessarily take magic away from you, but to trap you within specific magical systems which disempower you, I should say, more so. Meaning, for example, with religion, it will take everything about life and it will boil it down into misinterpreted things from your books. You will believe them to be true as they are written, as they are told. You will not see the truth hidden in the way they were told, the way they were spoken, the qualities. You have to pay attention to the qualities of these characters. And you realize Christianity, this is for the pagans, those who call themselves pagans these days, Christianity is originally pagan. How do you know this? Because the angels are all originally gods in other cultures. Jesus is a god. Mary is a god. Daniel is a god. Samson is a god. There are links between the god Mahes of Egypt and Michael in Christianity. Thoth, and I think Gabriel. But Mahes is my guy. So, and it doesn't mean that I pray to this character, but rather as a reflection, I see their qualities within me, and that comes from circles. What the fuck? That's gonna come out of nowhere. So before we talk about circles, let's explain where else this symbol pops up of the circle and the square, heaven and earth, the spirit on nailed to the cross, crucifixion. Excalibur, the sword within the stone. So let's break this down. We all know the story of the sword and the chalice. We all know that the upward triangle is the sword and the downward triangle is the chalice. We all know that this is a masculine symbol and that this is the feminine symbol. If you look between the legs right here, you can Google it. You can see that downward triangle and you know that the penis stands up erect. But watch this. That doesn't mean man and woman all the time. Because what a woman's body does, I mean a male's body does it too, you produce sperm cells. What a woman's body does is it contains life within the cell. It builds up the body with cells. It holds it for a time and then it releases it into the world, which itself is a cell. The stone, in this case, is earth, right? But it's talking about it as the spiritual aspect. Well, technically, sorry, let me go back. The circle is the space. The sword is the spirit that inhabits that space. When King Arthur draws the sword from the stone and becomes a king, that is to say that he has mastered his spirit. It means that he could leave his body. Drawing the sword from the stone is drawing the spirit from the body. It is an out-of-body experience. It is astral projection, which is why if you watch the new Hellboy, when he touches the sword, he vibrates. He vibrates. And then he's transported into a vision. Christians, those who call themselves chosen ones, who I honestly don't believe you are,